Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 228 of the Generation Xbox podcast. I'm your host, Steven.
And I'm Tyler. We're your home for all things Xbox. Make sure to head on over to generationxbox.com today. Check out all the latest news, reviews, opinions, and more from the world of Xbox, including some huge news that we're going to talk about here in a second. But also join our forums. Talk about it there, forum.generationxbox.com. Head there today. Follow us on Twitter while you're at it, at GenerationX_box. A lot of good stuff going on there. We'd love to have you be part of it all. Steven, anything going on this week?
Yeah, not much. It's been a light week. No, I'm just kidding. As you guys, longtime listeners may have realized, these episodes normally get put out, or we were doing it where we would record every Saturday, and they would get out by Sunday or Monday morning, depending on the time you're in. But we started doing it based off of the when things happen. And this one's kind of coming on the heels of one because there was some absolutely mammoth news.
Yeah. Let's just say that when I woke up today, I didn't think we were going to do a podcast today.
No, me neither.
But now we are.
Yeah.
For good reason.
So those of you that are watching on YouTube, and I mean, most of you probably have heard, you guys listen to video game podcasts. You're probably well aware of the news, but in case you aren't, Xbox made a little purchase today. It actually...
They helped celebrate the pre-orders a little early. They went shopping themselves.
That's true.
So,
and we'll talk a little bit about whether that's going to affect pre-orders. Spoilers, probably. But yeah, no, this morning, Tyler, usually on the weekends I like to sleep in, but then it kind of screws me over on Monday when I, get less sleep and I'm a little tired and don't want to wake up to my alarm. But this day I happened to see a notification, Tyler and myself talk on Facebook Messenger, and I see the Messenger notification. I'm like, oh, what did Tyler send me at 7 o'clock in the morning?
Well, that's a fair take because usually I send you stupid stuff, but...
Well, it's okay. I pay him back by sending him stuff because I'm on the West Coast and he is a couple hours ahead. So I get to do it before he goes to sleep, and then he could do it to me in the morning. So anyways, I look at my phone, and then he was like, Microsoft just bought Bethesda, and immediately jolted, wide awake. What? And now all my tiredness went away, and I'm like, oh my gosh, no way. And so I go on Twitter, I look it up. Yeah, Microsoft purchased ZeniMax Studios, which means they get all with
ZeniMax Media. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. ZeniMax is the parent company of Bethesda, Arcane Studios, ID, and more. I think there's about 4 more studios. And so that means Microsoft owns all of them for the low price of $7.5 billion.
Yeah, with the B and the pinky.
Yes. So what do you remember, Tyler? We speculated before about what a potential Microsoft buying WB, because that was the latest in the news for a couple months span going into even July. When they had their big show, was they were hoping to announce, or people wanted them to announce that. I think that was $1.5 billion.
Yeah, it was somewhere in there, and I, the more that went on, the more I thought that WB Games, or WB in general, is just trying to get sort of a valuation estimate on it, see what they could get. But we heard rumors then that they were trying to maybe purchase Bungie back, and heard some dollar figures there. And let's just say both those numbers were completely dwarfed by this. This is a big purchase. There's no real way around that.
Huge. And it's so easy to think that $7.5 billion is not a lot, because human beings are really bad.
Hard to imagine.
Well, human beings are really bad at understanding the difference, the power of 10 difference between million and billion. I mean, there's been videos of someone doing a comparison using rice. I remember that was a popular thing. I think it was to talk about Jeff Bezos's massive fortune. But there is a huge difference between 1 million and 1 billion, and there's 7.5 billion going ZeniMax's way from Microsoft. Absolutely gigantic news. Huge purchase, game-changing purchase, no pun intended.
I wrote a piece today that, and it's funny because I got up today, Stephen, one of my first thoughts, when I'm getting ready for work, is what kind of content are we going to be able to get out today? Like, it's. I thought it might be a bit of a dead day before pre-orders, all that stuff. So I thought we might be in a holding pattern. And it's like, well, what can we get out today to engage readers and the community? And turns out that question was answered pretty quickly. But I put a piece out where I called this seismic because it is. And this isn't just like a hey, they bought another studio.
No.
This is a publisher that had their own E3 briefing.
Yep.
Cringy as it was, sometimes they had their own, and it wasn't like a Devolver Digital having their own. Like, this was a major player, and they still are. They're just part of the Xbox family now. That's a huge get. And you always know it's big when you see the fanboy wars explode, which they did in almost no time at all. This is a monstrous get for Xbox, and for many reasons, and I know we'll get into them, but I want to start with just some of the games. Like, how do you even quantify how big this is for Xbox to fill the gaps that existed where, Fallout and Elder Scrolls, Doom, Prey now step in and fill those gaps? Like, how do you even quantify how important that is for them? I don't think you can.
Yeah, so I have a list up. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see it. If you're listening and you want to watch this on YouTube, you should. A lot of great stuff coming that way. But yeah, things like Dishonored, Wolfenstein, The Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Doom, Starfield, The Evil Within, and Prey, just to name a couple. That's 8 massive titles that are all different. You have horror, survival horror, Western type action games, modern action or shooters. Fantasy RPGs, stealth games, and then Doom. It's hard to quantify Doom shooter. It's Doom. It's great. It's absolutely massive. You were telling me off air right before we went live that you think this is the biggest news in gaming, and it's not even close this year. And it's hard to disagree with that at all.
Yeah, and I don't think it's close. Like, what else even compares to this? When the entire narrative for Xbox's detractors is that they don't have games. That's no longer an even remotely true statement.
No.
They have a library that is hugely diverse in terms of genres. It covers lots of different things. Xbox is, as of today, no longer the bro shooter and vroom vroom console. It's just not. In fact, like, I would argue, so when we talked about this off air, Halo is no longer their biggest, best franchise. It's Elder Scrolls in my mind at this point.
Probably. I think that game, it's hard to judge it from my end because I love fantasy RPGs, so The Elder Scrolls is one of my favorite franchises of all time. But I know you're not as big of a fan of that type of thing. But the franchise is absolutely huge. People were so happy when Bethesda showed that little 20-second tease of just the name Elder Scrolls 6. I don't even think it had a name of the game yet. Over the snowy mountains, and yeah, that was big. You could even make the case that Fallout, though after Fallout 76, it might be a little harder. But yeah. Halo, I think, is still the tentpole franchise, if only because Master Chief as a character is more iconic than anybody in the Elder Scrolls.
Plus, I mean, Halo as a brand is just synonymous with Xbox, right?
Yes.
But I would argue that, the Elder Scrolls, Fallout, especially those two, and probably Starfield, are going to be more pivotal to Microsoft's success going forward than Halo is. Those franchises, if they can come out and have their next installment all be awesome, in Starfield, their first installment, that's a complete game changer when you talk about which consoles have the better games.
Well, also the complete game changer, Tyler, is that all of these games, from these massive mammoth games from Bethesda, and if there's a new Doom, from ID, or a new Dishonored, or a new, maybe even Fallout New Vegas, because Obsidian and Bethesda now working for the same team. We can
Well,
hope.
let me stop you there real quick,
But
because
I was getting
yeah,
somewhere.
I know, I think I know where you're going,
All right, go ahead.
but it's impossible to put those games, those big AAA games, on a subscription service, right? Because they're just too good and too big, and there's too much of a budget, right?
Yes. Well, it's not though, because it's going to happen, right?
It's going to happen.
That's what I mean.
I'm just saying, like, that's, you know, when we talked last episode, right, about how these two consoles are playing by different rules at this point.
I see where you're getting at. Yeah, my brain wasn't working for a second.
That's
yes.
okay. But it's been a busy day. But, you know, Sony, love them to death, right? And I'm going to get a PlayStation 5, and later than I thought I was going to after pre-orders unfolded. But, you know, I'm going to get one. But they're still playing by the rules of last gen and before for what success is. And success is merely solely measured by sales numbers. And, you know, God bless you if you're a gamer out there and you just really take pride in Sony having better sales numbers, as if it means anything for you and changes how good the games are. Same for Xbox fans, but it doesn't matter. Really doesn't. And what Xbox is doing now is they're playing by a whole different structure and set of rules. They are making games accessible. They're saying, nope, you can put huge AAA franchises on a platform like Game Pass and make it accessible for people.
Yeah, and that's where I was going, is that not only do you have these massive games coming on top of the ones that already were coming, you know, Fable, Halo Infinite eventually, Microsoft Flight Sim. It's one of my favorites. I know it's not in the same category, but I still love it. And Avowed, when that comes. Those are all awesome games. And now we're going to get probably the Elder Scrolls 6 on there, Fallout 5.
We are for sure.
Starfield. All of that will come to Game Pass, which means you don't have to buy any of those games. So now the $10 or even $15 a month, what does that work out to? 15 times 10, 150 plus 30, $180 a year. That's 3 AAA games, but 3 AAA games from the previous gen, since PlayStation prices for games are going to $70. So 2.5 games for PlayStation that you don't need to buy, plus hundreds of other smaller indie games that, like I said, I'm going to say it again. You guys are going to be annoyed with me. Slay the Spire. It's the best. Things like that you might not have ever checked out. Game Pass is the greatest thing for gamers ever made.
And I know there's an argument out there that Game Pass is like really bad for gaming. No, it's not, because you don't have to get it. If you want to go and just buy each game individually, you want to shell out $70 for each one, have at it. They're not going to stop you. Yeah. So this is an option that's there to make gaming accessible for everyone. And I don't get why there's this segment of gamers that take pride in it being very, I don't want to say elitist, but you know what I'm getting at? Like very exclusive to have the next console and the games, you know? And they take pride in the fact that others can't have it. And they do.
Yeah, I think that's just human nature.
Well, I know, but I mean, even within the same platform though, like, you know, there's like this sense of pride in like, I have the next gen console and you don't, you know? Like, I don't know, but I think it's awesome that more people get to play it, more people get to experience it. And, you know, it's not just indie games too soon. It's every Xbox first party game.
Yep.
So every
plus
Halo
EA
game.
Games.
Yeah, plus EA games now. So you're going to get the free 10-hour trial of brand new EA games, right?
Yep.
Plus all the Vault games, which includes some pretty good Battlefield games. You know, some pretty not good Need for Speed games, but, you know, you can't have everything.
You get Peggle.
You do get Peggle, which is great.
I love Peggle.
Now, Peggle's not a system seller, but that brings me to the next thing, Steven. Like, Xbox has legit system sellers now.
Yeah, well, but that's the thing. Like, it's hard to go from here into one or the other because Microsoft is pushing xCloud so much now that this is even bigger for that because now they're going to have games like Elder Scrolls 6 and Starfield and Fallout 5 on top of all the other ones from first party on xCloud, which you can play on your phone. And so I guess yes, all right. We'll start with what you were saying. So yes, Microsoft does have multiple system seller potential exclusives.
Yep.
So let's go there. Does Microsoft So Microsoft already said, or Phil Spencer said today, that he was going to honor the exclusivity deals for Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo, where they had they're a year on PlayStation. I'm sure Xbox fans didn't love to hear that, but I think it was pretty buried, or not buried, but it's like that sucks. But Microsoft bought Bethesda, so can't complain. Type of deal here. But will games like Starfield, Elder Scrolls 6, and Fallout 5 be exclusive, or will they go to PlayStation because Microsoft still gets the money on sales?
They should 100% be exclusive. And something you told me off air that you saw in a group. I want to let you say it because I want to steal from you, but it rings totally true. And
well, you gave me credit. You can go ahead and say it. I forgot.
Okay, so you said somebody said you don't spend $7.5 billion on something to publish it everywhere.
Yeah, and I saw Paris say the same thing today. I think Paris. There was a lot of the talking heads.
Yeah. Many, yes. It's you find out how flexible a lot of people's jobs are in days like this, don't you? Because there are a lot of people who could just drop everything and make YouTube videos. It's kind of impressive.
Well, it's probably their job. I mean, I know a lot of people get paid for that.
Yeah, but there are also some talking heads that we know have jobs, and
that's true.
Things. But anyway, beside the point, you don't spend this type of money to play nice everywhere, because you don't spend this kind of money if you're playing nice. You're playing to win. And no, I wouldn't put Starfield, I wouldn't put Elder Scrolls, and I wouldn't put Fallout on other systems. I would put games as a service type games like Fallout 76 eat up those microtransactions all day. Elder Scrolls Online, for sure.
Yes.
But single player narrative driven games, nope. You want to buy it? You're going to play it in the Xbox ecosystem. And now I know there's people that are going to say, oh, there's PC. You're still spending money that goes directly to Xbox. So don't act like you're not. I don't see any reason to put it on every platform. Do you?
No. I kind of made the argument this morning that Microsoft doesn't necessarily care where you play, which I think is true to some extent. They don't care if you're playing on PC. They don't care if you're playing on Xbox. Of course, they love that you buy an Xbox because when you buy things in their store, they get a cut of everything. Or they don't care if you're playing on your phone. But I think playing on PlayStation, their direct competitor, is a bridge too far for them. I think they do want you to buy an Xbox as far as the consoles are concerned.
Yeah, I think it's even the better way to put it is they don't care which Xbox you play on.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're gonna be out there telling you the benefits of the PS5.
No.
So yeah.
Yeah, so this is big as far as the exclusives go. It might be a while. Who knows how far Starfield is away? Who knows how far the Elder Scrolls is away? But I think the resource improvement is absolutely mammoth. What this tells me, though, the biggest thing is that Microsoft absolutely 100% trusts Phil Spencer and Xbox and backs them up 150%.
Mm-hmm. And when you look back now and you see the pieces fall into place over the last 3 years, you see this vision that Xbox honestly hasn't had before. They have a clear vision about what they want to be and what they want their community to be. And, it started in my mind with the backwards compatibility announcement. And everything since then has been about getting more games into people's hands easier and for less money. Yep. If you choose to do it that way.
Yeah. So
So,
what I before we get the the reviews on iTunes or whatever calling us shills or whatever and calling us hypocrites, let's discuss the tiny elephant in the room that gets brought up by the PlayStation fanboys now, and it gets brought up on both sides whenever the other side does it. So let's be real.
mm,
Is this bad for gamers? The fact, like speaking from Xbox, this is absolutely brilliant. But we have complained in the past about exclusivity
yeah.
deals being bad for gamers. Is this bad for gamers?
And I'm not gonna lie, like I still hate exclusivity deals. Now, I hate them more when it's a third party that's still independent, but you're getting their game just to your system, either for a year or forever. Um, but once you've bought the studio, like they're part of your first party platform at that point. And I know, I don't want to be accused of like, oh, I'm just twisting it now. I don't like a lot of game exclusivity, but I also know that this is where the industry's going.
Yeah, I
And you can stand on principle or you can win. You can't do both all the time.
yes. I do think it's crappy when content gets locked behind like the same game that you're paying the same price for gets locked behind
Yes.
a ecosystem.
Like
That's
Destiny.
crappy. Destiny is way worse to me than Avengers because it's the same game. And like with the
Mhm.
Avengers, I kind of get it because Sony does own Spider-Man or at
Yep.
least has the rights to it. So, okay, I get it. And it's not part of the base game. It's going to be DLC, which I assume you're going to have to pay for, knowing how Avengers has been working. Um, as far as this goes with Microsoft, yes, it does suck for PlayStation fans. But at the same time, you can't use that argument because every time Xbox does anything, you say, oh, I can just get it on PC. Well, these games aren't locked behind, having an
Mhm.
Xbox. You can play these games on PC, which you guys claim all the time as the big selling point. So, yes, it does suck for Sony fans. I don't think it's the same like argument, despite what people
No,
want
and
it to be. And
when you're
there
go ahead,
is a
sorry.
sorry to finish up. There is another ecosystem you can play these games on, whereas
Mhm.
Sony exclusives are locked to that console.
Plus, you just can't celebrate it when it benefits you and then scold it and condemn it when it doesn't. And not to pat myself on the back, but I did say that I thought the Tomb Raider exclusivity was not great.
Yeah,
You know, it's not the right thing for gaming, but it is where we're going. And like I said, I mean, Xbox, you can sit there and you know act on stand on principle and say we're doing the right thing, or you can have games that make people want to buy your system because nobody else is playing by those rules. Sony bought Insomniac. Sony's making third-party exclusivity deals. You're you have to adapt and change in order to be competitive. And it sucks for gaming in general because I think we're heading towards a system. People feared, Stephen, that you were going to have multiple subscription services to play everything. I don't think that's the case. I think we're heading towards a thing where you have to have all the consoles to play everything. And I don't like that, but I think it's where we're going. And if you're Microsoft and you're going to try to win, you have to play by those rules.
yeah, and to be honest, Sony can't compete with this. Um,
They don't have the money.
no, no, not even close. There is some arguments to be made against monopolizing the industry, and that has never, ever, ever, ever worked out good. I don't think we're quite there yet, but
No.
if Microsoft starts buying up a couple more of the big ones like Ubisoft, Square, EA is probably the most likely of the three.
And that's the one that I think really does it because that is they're probably the one that has the types of games that aren't included in what Microsoft already has. It's the sports titles which have, I get a lot of people don't like the sports games, but they do have a broad appeal to the casual gaming market.
Yeah.
And if you say now you're gonna um if you want to play Madden, you have to have an Xbox. Although that would never happen. Those games would be multi-plat, 100%. You know why?
Because of Ultimate Team and the
100%.
money.
Yep.
I mean, that makes sense.
So those games would be, you know, published across all platforms, but you know, it could be under the banner of Xbox. There's been rumors about an EA purchase, but nothing's solid. And I think they might take a break after spending $7.5 billion. And EA is probably pretty close to that amount, not more. So the other one would be Take-Two, which has all the Rockstar games and
that
like the 2K games.
That would be very interesting. And like it'd make a little sense for Xbox. But I think I would keep GTA on all the consoles because of, again, the super successful microtransactions, you know, GTA Online. I could see Red Dead Redemption becoming more of a exclusive, but I mean, who knows? I guess we should stop speculating since Microsoft actually did one big thing. We should talk about that.
Yeah, Phil, what's next, Phil?
Yes.
God, this was like 10 hours ago, Phil.
I know. Come on, Phil. Buy some more things for us.
Right?
No, this is huge for Microsoft. If you really don't want to buy an Xbox console, you can play all these games on PC, which, you know, is cool. We saw the specs for, like, real quick, like, change topic a little bit. The specs for what you need to play Cyberpunk on PC is not insane. I actually can play at I have the recommended settings, and my PC's kind of old, so yay me. But there you go. So it's not like it's not hugely impossible to get into the PC market for super expensive.
No,
4K.
But I think for new games it kind of is.
Well,
like even The Witcher 3's requirements were like huge, right? Mm-hmm. And Cyberpunk's will be, et cetera, et cetera. So I mean, it's a daunting thing from a lot of angles for gamers, and especially for casual gamers.
Yeah, it's not plug and play, which I think people like about the consoles, and it's why the console market is going to stay for a while.
Yep. I don't want to have to think about which number, like, you know, graphics card I have.
Well, the graphics aren't that bad. Like there's a few, you know, the 10 series, 20 series, 30 series, and then 60, 70, 80, 90. Like, but they're not that hard. It's where the i5 versus i7 versus i3, and then the amount of cores and like what the K number is at the back of that's the confusing one. So you know, I think the console's here to stay. You can buy the Series X for $30 a month for 2 years, and it includes Game Pass Ultimate, which will get you all of the games as Bethesda makes them. Hopefully they're not far off. We're gonna get some good stuff. I think we might be a year away from some great Xbox titles, but I think come 2022 is when we start, and it's just I have a feeling it's going to be back to back to back. Like they have right now. So I actually haven't even counted. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 22, 23 studios.
Mm-hmm. Can we stop for just a quick second?
Yeah, before we get into that, it's time for a little word from us.
We got to hear from our friends at Bet Online. So betonline.ag is your home for betting on all sports and esports. So if you feel in the mood to bet on some Overwatch, Dota, League of Legends, Call of Duty, or more, head on over to betonline.ag today. The wait is finally over, everybody. Football is back. The Vikings did not get that memo. They look horrifically bad, Steven. But sadly, I think you might be right. They might not be bad enough to win the tanking for Trevor competition. They'll find a way to just be like the number 2 pick. You might not be at a game this year, but you can still be in on the action at BetOnline. BetOnline is going the extra mile to make sure you can get on everything imaginable, from game spreads and totals to team, player, and coaching props. BetOnline gives you more options to wager than any other place online. You can get in on their season opening bonuses today and start off wagering on win, division, and championship futures right now. Head to BetOnline today. Take advantage of all the great sign-up bonuses at betonline.ag, your online sportsbook experts. Last thing I'll say is if you're going to bet on win totals for the Minnesota Vikings, take the under all day, even if it's one.
Really?
No. But that's how bad they looked.
Yeah.
Through the first 2 weeks, they're the worst team in football. And the good news is the Twins are going to play the Yankees. Yay.
That's the fun news of the week, as far
Is
as
it?
I'm concerned. Sure, I get to listen to you. The Lakers are 2-0 up on the Nuggets. We ain't the Clips. I
Yeah, it's
said
good.
it last
I'm
week.
happy for the Lakers. It's about time they win one.
That's right. It is. It's been
You know,
6 years since we were in the playoffs.
Yeah, they've long been plagued by failure and sadness.
9 whole years. That's an eternity.
Yeah.
And LeBron,
Sure.
he needs another one.
Yeah.
So
He
anyways,
needs yet another chance at a title. Yep.
back to Xbox. 23 23 studios in total, Tyler.
Mhm.
What do you think is the biggest out of the bunch?
I still think what the initiative has is the wild card here.
Yeah,
We don't know what they're doing.
that's true.
And
it is a 4A game, supposedly. Whatever that means.
supposedly it'll be 5A by next week, don't worry. But yeah, I think it has to be that one.
Yeah. How much pressure is taken off of the initiative now, though? It's got to be massive.
Oh, a ton.
Pressure.
And a ton of pressure has been taken off of Obsidian with Avowed.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't worried about Obsidian. I've seen what Obsidian can do with RPGs in the past. Just awesome games. Fallout New Vegas is one to spring to mind, but for me, Pillars of Eternity, just phenomenal, huge game.
I'm so surprised you didn't like Outer Worlds.
Yeah, it just didn't hook me. I liked what I played, it just didn't hook me, and I didn't want to continue playing.
I can't believe to this day that out of the three of us that were on the show at the time, I'm the one who loved that game, up and down.
Yeah, I am too. It's weird. For me, I think this is tough. I think Bethesda takes the lead. They did have the Fallout 76 debacle, and it has been a while since the Elder Scrolls came out. Elder Scrolls 5. I loved Fallout 4 though. I don't know.
So of the games that we know, because we know there's a Fallout sequel that's gonna exist, right?
Yes, especially now.
We know there's an Elder Scrolls 6 in production. We know Starfield's happening, et cetera, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's not announced yet. We know Gears of War 6 is going to happen. We know there's a Forza game coming, et cetera. I think the game that has the most pressure on it is still Halo.
Do you think any pressure was taken off by this purchase?
No,
I don't. Either. That's saying.
And because I think if that game fails, it's still the most recognizable face of the brand.
Yeah, it's going to be attached to the Xbox name.
Mm-hmm. So if Halo Infinite fails, it's like the Xbox fails.
Yeah.
I don't think that's fair, but I think it's true.
I think 343 gets dropped down from quite a few spots considering. Oh, all right. Here's something just popped in my head. So 343 has not done good with Halo. I mean, besides the Master Chief Collection, which people liked, but it had massive
and the 5
multiplayer. But the campaigns have been bad. If Halo Infinite is a underwhelming title, and it really does need to be, whether it's fair or not, like a massively huge success and overwhelmingly praised. It can't get mixed reviews. It can't even be good.
I would agree. I think the minimum acceptable review score for that game is 8.5.
And that is on the low end.
Yep.
This game needs to be pushing 9.
So
in
I'm
my
gonna
opinion.
answer your question. I'm gonna
I haven't even asked my question yet.
but I know what you're gonna ask.
What am I gonna ask?
I'm gonna even up it and say I think it's fair right now to ask if 343 is the right studio to develop Halo.
That was my question. Or actually, more specifically, what are the thoughts on maybe someone like id or ID? I'm honestly not sure how to pronounce that.
It's id.
Id.
Yep.
What about giving them a crack? The last 2 Doom games, phenomenal.
Yeah. There's something to be said for that, and man, I'm so like I want to believe in 343 because they do some things really well. Halo 5 multiplayer I think is super fun, and I know I'm in the minority here, but I actually like it more than like even Halo 3's multiplayer.
It's different.
Yeah, it's different. I think it's a little more welcoming to all.
Oh, I hugely disagree with that.
Do you think Halo 3 is much more accessible to everybody?
Yeah, because 3 had like vehicle combat in a lot of maps. Like it was more.
No. I mean, no. I mean, in terms of like skill level. Not so much like doing different things. Like Halo 3 had a huge multiplayer suite, no doubt about it.
Well, I still think 3 had the level up system, which kind of.
I felt like 3 had a huge barrier to like skill barrier.
Maybe I was really good from the start somehow.
Yeah, and it's hard like I think for you sometimes to see that, and that's not a knock on you. It's just you're good at those games, right? So it's hard to put yourself in the spot of somebody who isn't naturally good and has to get good, as they say.
Yeah, I mean, it was also 13 years ago, so it's really
right.
And I was still
there's that too.
I was like 14 at the time, so
right.
I'm aging myself a little bit.
So yeah, you were 14, so you were like clearly modest and.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like,
you
when you're a kid, there's a reason that the pro like gamers tend to be in the 15,
like 17, yeah,
like 25 is old.
Yeah,
it's because you have way quicker reaction times. Plus, you can play the game more.
Right.
Yeah. So 5 did have a really good. I guess with skill based, I think it's a testament to skill based matchmaking, which honestly would have made it into the show with how much Call of Duty fans cried over the weekend when they found out skill based matchmaking was going.
Well, I think it's worth talking about real quick. So Call of Duty introduced like a skill based matchmaking system, right?
Yes.
Where now if you're a super good player, you're going to get matched up against other super good players. Yeah. And if you are new to the game and you're learning, or you're just not good at it but like playing, you'll get matched up with other people of similar skill, which I think is awesome. I think you do too.
Yes, games should be a 50% win rate for you. You should be on average winning 50% of the games you play. You get better when you're playing against people of a little bit better than you. If you're playing against people that are massively better than you, they're going to kick your butt, and you're not going to have fun, and you're not going to learn because you're dying every 3 seconds. So this is good for everybody, and the people that are crying, I think, overhype how good they actually are. So they're like, I'm going to be playing in sweaty lobbies.
Well, and you talked about it. A lot of them are streamers, right? Or you think so?
Well,
a lot of them are where they rely on this facade that they're super good.
Yes, and they like beating. I mean, obviously, winning does make you look better on stream when you're winning all your games. But I'm coming from a place of playing games that have always had skill-based matchmaking, like Halo 5. Smite has skill-based matchmaking. You rank up. Any MOBA, StarCraft 2 has skill-based matchmaking, and they were like the biggest ones for me when I think the 50%, I think of them, because it tells you when you're loading that the whole point of the ranking system is so you get that sweet spot of you win half the games, you lose half the games. I mean,
we talked offline, like we play NHL a lot, right?
Yes.
In the EA Sports Hockey League mode, and that's where, for people that haven't listened to the show before, you create your own player, you play on a team with your friends and compete against other teams controlled by human players, et cetera, right? But it has a division level. So you start in Division 10, you're playing other Division 10 teams, and as you win and progress and promote, when you're in Division 5, you're not playing Division 10 teams, you're playing Division 5 teams and maybe 4.
Yep.
So it keeps you you know, you keep playing teams equal to the level that you're in, and eventually you're going to find that sweet spot where you're basically 500, except for the super elite teams, and that's how you find out who they are. Because they keep winning. So I think that's awesome because, and not everybody thinks that way, Stephen, because we played with people who constantly wanted to reset the team back to Division 10 so we could just crush people and like win by, 9-1 scores.
Yeah, I find
That's
it
not fun.
hugely ironic when people are. I saw people complaining. One of the big Call of Duty Twitter accounts, it wasn't Call of Duty themselves, but it was like a news thing, was saying that like anyone who wants skill based matchmaking is weak and blah blah blah. No, the weak people are the ones that don't want it, that just want to win every game without having to try. Like, hooray, you won a game without needing skill. Do you feel proud of yourself? Like, seriously, come on. Is it really that bad to try
Well,
in the games you
my
play? Like,
yeah, and my thing too, and it's because I've been on the other side of the equation. I've been the guy in these games that, sometimes, with some shooters, I got to work at it to get good, and it takes a lot of time, which I don't necessarily have anymore, just because of my work
yeah,
schedule and whatnot. But
true.
um, it sucks being on the bad side of that when you're like 2-16, in a match. And then you listen to it in the lobby and all that crap, and it's just like, you know what, I'd rather just not play and let's not deal with this. And because I've been on that side of it before, like I never want to be the reason that someone stops playing.
Yeah, and I think
And
a lot of these people that are complaining, again, they use this as like a coping mechanism, because instead of admitting they're maybe not as good as they think they are, it's that, oh, I didn't try, or I don't want to try, and I wasn't trying. You hear that all the time when you beat someone. I wasn't trying. Okay, sure you weren't.
or this game sucks, I hate this game.
Oh, I'm done after this one. Yeah, that's a different thing. But yeah,
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with this. I think, and again, the tiers
Well, I
are
think it's
funny.
great.
Gamers sometimes, you guys, like,
But
I
we
really,
also talked about gamers are super resistant to change, right?
yeah.
And this is an example of that. So
Well, probably, yeah, for Call of Duty at least.
sure.
But seriously though, when you're, or whining and moaning, like, you're the reason that we don't get taken seriously as a hobby.
Yeah, pretty
And
much.
viewed as childish and stuff.
But the
And
good news is if you do decide to quit, you're gonna have a lot more games to play on Xbox now.
let's bring that back.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of studios. It'll be interesting to see what each one could do. I think, I mean, obviously 343 is going to have the chance to decide or to put their finishing touch on Halo Infinite.
Well,
I think this
real
is,
quick, Steven, do you think this, at the very least, I would think this gives Microsoft the ability to be much more patient with them and not try to rush this game out
uh,
because of the promise of more of other things on the way. And I know Elder Scrolls 2 or Elder Scrolls 6 is probably like 2022 at the earliest.
mm-hmm.
But Starfield is going to be before that, right?
Hopefully it's not
You know?
Starfield 2022, ESO or Elder Scrolls 6
Yeah.
in 24. But who knows? Uh, what are the chances we see Fallout New Vegas 2? Not anytime
Decent.
soon, just happening.
I mean, by Obsidian?
Yes.
It's gonna be a long time from now, man. They've got a little task they've just taken on.
Well, I mean, I imagine they have multiple teams.
They have
now.
multiple teams, sure, but I'm sure they're still supporting Outer Worlds.
Yeah. Well,
There's going to be at least one more DLC for that.
I wonder what transfer of talent is going to look like. And what I mean by that is if Obsidian, let's say, is in the last year of development for Avowed and they're struggling with some stuff, I wonder if Bethesda could send over some of their people if Bethesda's not working, like maybe one of the teams at Bethesda, or you know what I mean. Like, I wonder what that's going to look like, this transfer of talent. You think
Kind
it's
of that
possible?
collaboration between
Yeah,
and
just to help
leveraging
each other
strengths.
out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, there's a lot of different strengths here and you can leverage a lot of that. And I think like, where the 343 team could help with some of the Bethesda stuff is I've always personally felt, Steven, like the shooting mechanics in some of the Bethesda games were not great.
Yeah, the last good one was Fallout New Vegas.
Yeah, now Doom's the exception to that, right?
Yeah, but that's
But yeah, but like Wolfenstein, not the greatest. It's super fun, don't get me wrong, but it's not the greatest. Like the Wolfenstein first game this gen, one of the most fun experiences I've had this gen.
yeah.
But it's still like between that and Fallout, like shooting mechanics aren't like super awesome. That's where a team like 343 could step in, or the Gears team could step in and really help with that.
Yeah.
You know,
And
and with other things too, like Bethesda is super good with storytelling and creating awesome worlds, and they could help with other things too. So
yeah, like
yeah, I see what you're getting at. I like it.
So we'll see if that happens. I mean, this is obviously a continuing story. Like you're gonna hear about this probably a lot in the next few weeks or whatever months. As we go on from here, because there's still some stuff to work out. Like this deal is not fully finalized. I don't think it's gonna be finalized until I want to say Q2 of 2021. I want to say was in the press release.
Yeah, but I think that's more of a formality.
Yeah, but I
than
mean,
anything.
so we'll get some stuff. I mean, just more info as time goes and what games are coming and whether or not they're going to come to PlayStation. They did say case by case basis. I do think the big stuff will not.
Yeah.
So buy
So
an Xbox if you want to play.
I do have one question for you, Steven, not Xbox related.
Okay. Shoot.
You were definitely set on getting a PS5, right? For Demon Souls?
Correct.
So I'm looking at, because I'm tracking one of our stories on N4G currently. Looking at another story. Sony's going to introduce special editions of PS5 after the official launch. One of them appears to be a Cyberpunk special edition console.
Okay.
Would you be willing to wait if it meant getting something like that? Now it's like really bright yellow. And the fact that the console is like, 4 feet by 6 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That's true.
I don't know if you want something that yellow, that big in your room, but they do have a Spider-Man one that actually looks pretty awesome.
Tyler, are you forgetting about the big bright yellow chair I'm sitting in right now?
True, that could tie the whole room together.
This room I'm in is a hodgepodge of designs. It has some very old stuff and some very not old stuff, and it's very funny.
Where does the wood paneling on the wall fit into that?
That's what I mean. That's super old stuff.
That's like 1970s stuff. It's awesome, but yeah,
I love it. But
you just need, if you got that console, you just need the yellow rug.
The shag
you'd
rug?
have it. It'd be done.
Like shag yellow?
No, dude, I'm sure there's a Cyberpunk themed area rug out there.
Probably like on Etsy or something.
Yep, 100%.
I'm sure it's super cheap.
Probably $400, yeah. But
I mean,
whatever.
It should be that the designs like that cost a lot of time and energy. And,
yeah.
Pay artists and things.
I mean, I once had a Minnesota Wild area rug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you can mass produce it, it's cheap. If it's handmade, that's infinitely more expensive.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, I don't really want to wait for it because I have the God of War PS4 Pro. And like I don't even notice it now. It's sitting there, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot I have like the Pro or the special fancy edition. So it is what it is.
So I wanna hit on one more thing before we get out of here, and I know we're running a little long already, but how much do you think the launch lineup actually matters?
Now, not at all.
Yeah, like I don't. Dude, I'm not buying the console just for what I can play on November 10th.
No, it's nice. But
sure.
The fact
but the third-party stuff coming out like that week alone is enough for me.
Yeah.
You have Valhalla, you have Call of Duty, and Cyberpunk all coming out within like 10 days of each other.
Yep, plus you get, at least with Assassin's Creed, the upgraded version.
Mhm.
I don't think the Cyberpunk like Series X version is coming right away. I could be wrong on that, but I don't think it wasn't originally. It might have changed, but it should still be upscaled. So plus the SSD will make it load faster.
Like let's revisit just for a second the launch lineups last time. Okay, Killzone. Was Knack one of them, Steven?
Yes, pretty sure.
You know, etc. On the PlayStation side, on Xbox, you had Dead Rising 3.
That sounds right.
You had Rise, you know,
Mm-hmm.
which was beautiful but not good. Um, Power Star Golf, which was, in my opinion, the best of the bunch for the launch title exclusives.
Didn't you? Oh, exclusives. Yeah.
And then you had a lot of third parties like Battlefield 4.
Assassin's Creed 4, I think, too.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed was in there.
Call of Duty.
NBA 2K was pushed pretty hard because EA really messed up their next gen ones. They had Madden 25 on the next gen consoles, but other sports games were not. But it's not like that was a holy crap launch lineup. The next spring you got Infamous Second Son. You also got Titanfall.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't start to see the real bread and butter from PlayStation until 2 years later. And to go on and on about what you're going to play on November 10th or on November, what is it, 17th or 14th or whatever it is.
12th.
I apologize for forgetting the PlayStation date.
12th.
12th, sorry. It's only 2 days. All right. So, I've already struck it from memory because my pre-order attempts failed.
Oh, that was brutal.
That was awful.
I'm glad we did the show last week before pre-orders went live. Actually, we did it while pre-orders were going live because my nice level would have been way worse if after failing to grab one multiple times. Yeah. So
that was really disappointing.
It was hugely disappointing.
And the fact in Sony, I know we'll get accused here of being an Xbox show and bias and whatnot, but dude, I love the PlayStation console and I love the PlayStation exclusives, and I want the digital console. And the fact that you talk it up so much so you can have a competitive price point, but then only have 24% of your consoles be the digital console. Come on. You don't get to say that you're super consumer friendly when you just say it to say it and then really push people into getting the disc version. Shame on you, Sony, for that. And if Xbox does the same with the Series S being in short supply, then shame on them too.
It is in less supply. From what I read, there was something like each retailer gets I think it's I don't want to scare people, but it was I think it was 4 to 8 Series X's and 4 to 6 Series S's. I think there was a difference in number. It might have been 12 or 8 to 12 and 4 to 8, but maybe I should shut up here and not speculate.
Yeah,
I know I saw it and it was less. I don't know the exact.
I still think best bet. Well, that's still not a 24/76 ratio.
No.
It's slight, but it's better. I think the best option is going to be go through the Microsoft Store. I think Amazon will get plenty of them too. But other retailers, we saw a lot of retailers go rogue with the PlayStation 1. And so far, they haven't with Xbox. And if I get up tomorrow morning and find out that Walmart went live with theirs at 2 a.m, I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah.
Because I've been excited about the new consoles all year, and then more than that, actually, for 18 months. And I want the opportunity to experience that, and I shouldn't have to, stay up all night to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I don't know. But anyway, we're at the risk of rambling on here. We just hope everybody that, wants a pre-order can get one. We know it's probably not going to be the case, but hopefully the next wave of supply will come pretty fast.
Yeah. So I guess final thoughts on this is, yeah, launch lineup for Xbox, not great. but there is Game Pass plus all your old games, which is something to say because the other side doesn't have all that. I mean, they're still having issues with Spider-Man on whether or not like what version is playable, what, and if there's cross saves and all that fun stuff. So Game Pass, and then what's coming in the future, which is now like absolutely gigantic. So it's good.
Yeah,
stuff
I mean, the argument for Xbox is this: you can on launch day come home with an Xbox Series X, having paid $35, and have 100 games plus at your disposal on launch day, and have the promise of a lot of really cool games, big and small, of different genres in the future. And that's a pretty good commitment, especially compared to what they delivered last time around. So I'm good with it. I think now that we've seen this move, we talked about like tying the whole room together. This kind of ties the whole thing together, doesn't it? Like everything else they've done. Like the argument for buying an Xbox this time is really compelling.
Yep.
So if you're on the fence, like, man, I don't see the negative here. You're set in the short term with Game Pass. You're set in the long term with the studios they've acquired. There's gonna be a lot of good stuff to experience on Xbox in the next few years. So
plus you can play games day one with the new box without having to buy a single game.
Right. And that's awesome. So yeah, I'm just excited to get it going. Let's do it.
But speaking of buying new games, Tyler,
sure.
You want to run us through some releases here?
I do. There are games that you can buy this week. Port Royale 4, available on the 25th. Mafia Definitive Edition, which was like oddly part of a trilogy collection like months ago, right?
Yeah.
And now it's just finally releasing as a definitive edition, available on the 25th. And then finally, Shotgun Farmers. Have you seen the trailer for this?
No. Are you saying I should?
So it's like a competitive shooter, but it's really cartoony. And every time you miss with a shot, a new gun sprouts out of the ground. And it's like carrot guns or, potato guns or other stuff like that. It's just really weird. It's all farm based, but it looks cool. It looks fun. It looks like unique, at least.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's also available on the 25th of September, and that's our releases for the week, Steven.
All right. Plus, pre-order for the Series X tomorrow.
Yeah, I guess that is worth mentioning.
Yep. So. Anyway, I guess Series X and Series S.
Yep.
I know I'm not getting the Series S, so it just kind of slips my mind every time.
I just hope everybody's able to get one. I hope
it's smoother than the PlayStation.
Yep.
So that's gonna do it for episode 228. We had a lot of good stuff to talk about today. Thank you guys so much for listening. That sounded sarcastic. Apologies.
We really do thank you for listening.
Yes.
And, follow us on Twitter at GenerationX_box.
Yep.
And on over to GenerationXbox.com for everything in the world of Xbox. Plus, we really appreciate your support by heading there.
Yep. And it's the easiest way to get to the forums as well for a lot of great conversation. I mean, you can find us on Facebook as well, the page and the group. They're still very active. So good stuff there. That's going to do it for 228. Hopefully you guys get your pre-orders tomorrow if you're looking at it. We're hoping we both get one as well. Otherwise, Steven is going to be very not happy. That'll be 0 for 2. Batting like Nelson Cruz over here.
I have to go do a training session right after, deliver one right after this. And I'm hoping I get it, because if I don't, I'm not going to be very happy.
Yeah. I gotta go get a blood test right after releasing, so my blood pressure will be super high if I don't. So what are you gonna do? No, play some great games though. A lot of good stuff still on Slay the Spire on Game Pass. I'm just gonna run with that joke and never gonna shut up about it. So you guys should go play.
Okay.
But no, a lot of good stuff. Very exciting. Time to be an Xbox fan. And yeah, thank you guys again. Enjoy your week, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
All right, talk.